Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this special event coverage live on Q30 television. My name is Bryan Schwartz, and I'm happy to be here today with Sophia Marshall, the Vice President of the Student Government Association at Quinnipiac University. We are live at the BurtCon Court on Quinnipiac's Mount Carmel campus for the State of the QUnion. That's Quinnipiac's annual SGA event where they talk about everything Quinnipiac University. So, Sophia, thank you for joining me on the pre-show.
Happy to be here. Thanks, Brian. I'm really excited about this. It looks great. This is the first year we're doing it here, so I'm super excited about this. I think it's going to be great.
The first year we're here at BurtCon.
Definitely.
Why did you make the move to BurtCon?
So for me, I feel like this is an event that the student body, should be interested in. So I felt that having it in the Piazza kind of almost downgraded it and sort of minimized its importance. And this is a really, really cool, amazing event where a lot of the most, prominent administrators on campus are going to be here and telling us about, their plans, and we're going to be telling them some of the stuff that we want to see from them. So I thought it deserved to be here.
So talk to me about this new setup where you have a whole panel of students now.
It's going to be really, really cool. So this year we wanted to make it a lot more conversational than it has been in the past, because in the past it's been the vice president sort of just asking administration questions, and that was the extent of the event, which is nice and helpful. But I really wanted the administration to be able to get something out of this too, and not just the students. So we have this panel of really, really amazing students. They're all super excited to be here, so I'm really excited. But it's basically just going to be them kind of giving their feedback on the university, on what the administrators have to say as well. So I think it's going to be really cool, and it's going to create more of a productive dialogue.
And they'll be here in just about a half an hour. It'll get started.
Yeah.
So who are these students that make up the panel?
So we really wanted to try to hit a lot of different groups of people, and obviously we know that not every single student is going to be represented on this panel. But we have the IFC president, we have the Panhellenic Council president, we have somebody to represent each grade level, we have our specialized representative chair on the panel as well through SGA. We have our GSA president, who's great. We have a couple of the students from MSLC represented. We have a commuter, so we're really trying to hit a lot of different areas. We have our SBO president as well, who's going to represent the student veterans. So we really wanted to try to come from a lot of different angles and get these really interesting perspectives that we don't think about every day.
How important is that to have such a diverse group on the panel?
It's so important. It's so important. I think that especially because the administration obviously see the general Quinnipiac student, but they may not necessarily be exposed to those sort of niche groups. So having those students there to be like, hey, maybe you didn't think about it from this perspective, not in a way of like calling them out, but more in a way of just saying, hey, like we're a group here that deserves to be heard.
So as far as the planning process, you had a planning committee with you.
Correct, yeah.
Can you talk about that and how that approach kind of came about?
For sure, yeah. I mean, a lot of them are back there right now. They're phenomenal. They're so dedicated to, this organization, and I'm so lucky to have them. The Student Advisory Committee, which is the committee that I oversee in student government, and they've been here every step of the way. From choosing administrations to setting up today. So I'm super, super lucky to have all of them, and they're all super excited as well. So it's really cool to have that team behind you and, make something cool and sort of set a precedent here.
Absolutely. We're about 25 minutes away from the State of the QUnion. We've got Sophia Marshall with me right now on the pre-show to the State of the QUnion. So, your expectations for the event, what do you hope to get out of it today?
I hope that we, every year at State of the QUnion, we sometimes get a big, announcement from administration. I'm hoping today we get a little more information about the pub that's opening, hopefully pretty soon on Rocky Top. I'm hoping that we get maybe a comment on the things that have been happening with QU Dining. Some of, obviously with President Olian's strategic plan, the master facilities plan, we have a lot of really exciting things coming in a few years. So I plan on asking about that, but also definitely making sure that the students that are here currently aren't forgotten about either. So seeing if they have any small projects that they're planning in the next 12 months, stuff like that. I mean, there's so much going on right now at the university that, I think we're going to get a lot today.
Absolutely. There's a lot going on, a lot to do. Sophia, thanks for joining us.
Of course. Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it.
You'll hear more from Sophia later as the State of the QUnion rolls on. Now we're going to toss it to Kay Patafote with an overview of the State of the QUnion.
State of the QUnion will take place tomorrow here in BurtCon Court at 4:00 p.m. Now, students can expect a series of panels with administration and different student leaders here on campus to answer any sets of questions. State of the QUnion will look different this year. Instead of having just a panel of administration, there will be a student panel as well.
Essentially what the student panel is there to do is after I ask a question and the administration answers it, if they feel that the answer wasn't adequately if they feel the administrator didn't adequately answer the question, or they feel that maybe they're not thinking about it from a certain perspective.
Students can expect to see administrators from President Judy Olian down to Varholak, who is the Chief Financial Officer here at Quinnipiac University.
And we have our Provost, our VP for Facilities. We have our CFO, which is really cool because this is the first year he's ever doing it.
The people chosen to be on the panel was determined by SGA Vice President Sophia Marshall and the members of her SAC committee.
Lucky, I have a really good committee, and so we talked about it for a couple hours and kind of hashed out the different people that we thought might be really good, and we ultimately picked the 7 that are going to be on stage.
The new addition to the State of the Union includes a student panel who will assist in answering questions.
The senior class vice president, I was chosen as a student leader to represent the senior class and to kind of advocate for the senior class.
The panel will consist of student leaders here on campus who hope that their presence will make students feel more at ease at the State of the Union.
Most of the student population, they might not know the faces of the administration and they may not know what's actually going on. So it'll be really nice to have a student panel interact with the administration so that the students can get a better idea of what's going on. They'll also be able to listen to the administrators and get more student point of view rather than just what the administration is going to say.
Students who have any concerns about anything Quinnipiac related are encouraged to attend the event.
All right, Kay, thank you very much. We welcome you back to BurtCon Court at Quinnipiac's Mount Carmel campus, the State of the QUnion, about 20 minutes away. Bryan Schwartz now joined by Austin Calvo, who is the SGA president. Austin, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
So this event, now we're about 20 minutes away. How excited are you to finally get started after all the planning?
I'm pretty excited. It's been a long planning process. Sophia is changing things up a lot this year with the student panel and everything, so I'm really excited to see how everything shakes out compared to previous years.
So you've been here for 4 years
Yes.
now. What's been the biggest change in this event?
Biggest change in this event would be this. Every year we kind of run it the same way with just administrators talking, taking questions from our vice president, and this year Sophia was like, I want to change it up. I want to get more student input and more student involvement in it, and we have a 14 student panel now, which is completely changed from last year. Last year there was 1 student involved in it, and that was the vice president.
Right. How important is it to have that student aspect of it as part of the panel?
I think it's huge. That's one of the things that I ran on for my campaign, was trying to remain student-centered as best as we can. And I think when you have 1 student and 5 administrators is a little bit of a weird balance, but having 15 students and for our 5 administrators, to me, makes more sense, since everything that the university does, that administrators do, should be student-centered and student-focused.
How do you think that the school has kind of embraced that student-centric, student-focused during your term?
During my term, I'm kind of lucky that I got to take advantage of President Olian being here. We've seen a lot of changes since President Leahy was here compared to President Olian being here. Everything she's done has been trying to listen to student concerns. Every time I meet with her, if it's a relatively small fix, she's like, let me see what I can do with that. And sometimes it's fixed by the next time we meet. She's really taken a personal step to make sure that what students want is getting done.
I just want to touch on that because we're going to hear from President Judy Olian, the president of Quinnipiac University. What are those meetings like with her when you talk with her? You're kind of the student ambassador when you talk with her. What is that like?
It's a really good feeling. It's a really weird feeling to know that there's 7,500 students that go here and I'm representing every single one of them and one person to one other person. So it's a lot of, the power that comes with it is very rewarding, and something I'm always cognizant of, because I want to make sure that I'm always doing right by the students that elected me.
What do you want to most get out of this event? What do you want to hear most?
I would say providing a better understanding of where we're going with the 5-year plan, because right now it's just very broad, there's a 5-year plan, but there's really no kind of this is our next step, this is what's going to happen this year, this is what's going to happen next year, etc. And I think that's kind of an important place to go, because I think as students we need to have a good understanding of what's happening and what we can see in the upcoming years, rather than just in 5 years we want to do all of these big abstract things.
Do you think you will get some of that transparency?
I'm hoping about that. We're getting about a 5-6 minute presentation from President Olian. And I'm hoping she'll be able to touch on some of those big things, because this is the State of the QUnion, so hopefully it'll address kind of where we are now and what our hopes are to go, and we'll hear more than just kind of the same talking points about the 5-year plan that we always hear.
What other questions do you want to hear answered other than that?
Having something big addressed about dining would be huge. I know that's been one of the biggest student concerns this past semester, and this semester has been dining. There's been a lot of improvements there already, but I think just kind of being more this is the big open opportunity. So I think being very transparent with this is what we had complaints about, and this is what this is what we changed because of that, is going to appease a lot of student concerns.
And talking to students, what do you think they want to hear?
So I didn't do much of the outreach for this. There was a lot on Sophia and her committee. But I think one of the big things students are concerned about is just where their money goes. 'Cause I think students are always like, the tuition hikes up every year, room and board hikes up every year, and people want to know why. They want to know where their money's going. They want to know how much of their dollar is going towards their professors getting paid, their room and board, their food, etc. I think that's a really, really big thing.
All right, Austin. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
We'll hear more from Austin later as the State of the Union rolls on. Now, toss it to Skylar Haynes with more on what students want to hear today at the State of the Union.
As State of the Union approached, students across campus had many thoughts they hope to see represented and discussed today.
I hope that they talk about more of what the students can do to get involved in all the changes going on in Quinnipiac, because I feel like with the dining and Chartwells or with the whole new sustainability plan, there's a lot of administrators heading that and talking about that, and we get a lot of emails, but I don't know really where the students fit in. So I'd love to see how they're going to inform us as all these changes are being made, rather than us being surprised on a day-to-day basis.
I think there's been a lot of issues lately about sustainability, namely the school doesn't recycle. I've heard stuff about Q dining. Just in general, the school needs to strive to be more sustainable, especially since we're such an environmental campus. I think it's a little hypocritical to say that we don't do much towards it.
I like to see spoken about academic inclusivity and increasing cultural competency in faculty on campus.
I hope they talk about career services and expansion of career development.
Mental health and counseling services, because it's hard to get an appointment, so I think that accessibility should be a little bit better. And also the switching counselors process is very anxiety producing. So I think that to see some change in mental health would be good.
In general, I'd like to see other students' questions answered very honestly, and I hope it goes well.
It works out.
All right. All right, welcome back to the State of the Union. Bryan Schwartz, happy to be joined now by Monique Drucker, who's the Vice President and Dean of Students here at Quinnipiac University. Monique, how are you, and how excited are you for today?
I'm great, Brian. Thank you. I'm very excited. I hope that this is a great turnout for our students. I think it's a really fantastic event.
So this year, we've talked about it with Austin and with Sophia. They moved it here to Burt Con, where there's obviously a lot more seats. It's different than the Piazza. What are your expectations for that sort of change?
Sure. One is that the seats are filled by students. This is such a great opportunity for our students to come in and talk with administration, get some questions asked. So I hope that there's great enthusiasm for it. We're ready to have the seats filled. And I think that SGA has done a really good job trying to change the format, to have some students on the panel as well, to have increased student engagement. So we're ready.
Talk about the student engagement. What do you like most about this event? Is it that?
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, I'm privileged to be the Vice President and Dean of Students, so I get to engage with students every day. I get paid to do this, and I couldn't be happier. So I'm in front of SGA on a weekly basis. So for me, I'm really hoping that while I'll answer any student question, I'm very accessible. I'm hoping that this panel gives students the opportunity to ask some questions of folks that they may not be able to interact with as much. So I think it's going to be a great opportunity, and I hope that they really have some great questions for us.
For you personally, as an administrator, what do you want to get out of this?
Oh, I want to learn what's on the students' minds. I want to learn what kinds of things are important to you and what we could be doing better, and find out what questions are most pressing, because that's my job then, to try to figure out resolve for that and address it.
For the students, what do you think they want to get out of it?
Oh, answers.
Right.
I think everybody wants, has probably their own idea of what they want to know about the administration, about the university, about our strategic plan, our priorities. So I hope that they're just brave to be here and to ask questions and let it flow.
And why do you think it's important for the students to participate in an event like this?
Sure, because I don't know if every school gives that access to students. So I think it's important because they have a chance to interact with people that they may not get a chance to do that every day. And so it's an opportunity. It's one that they can take advantage of. And this falls in line too. While we've been doing this event for years, we've also been doing some town hall meetings this fall semester and leading into the spring. So I just think it's an opportunity, more engagement with our students. It helps us know exactly what's going on and what we need to do and how we can get better.
We see the students starting to file in, which is obviously very nice. And
yes.
One of the main topics they're going to want to address is the new pub that's coming on York Hill.
Yes.
I know that is very exciting to a lot of the upperclassmen who can enjoy it.
Sure.
How excited are you for that?
I'm really excited. And two things. I'm sure I'll probably get a question about it, so I hope so, because I want to convey a couple things. That this is a beautiful space for the university, and we are planning programming for both those who are 21, and also we'll have events for people who are not 21. So we'll have non-alcoholic nights, we're going to have trivia nights, happy hours, we're going to have lots of different things, comedians. So we're really looking at this as a university space for our students of all ages can enjoy. We will have 21 and over nights because it's a pub, but we're also really excited to try different things out there as well. So we're hoping it's utilized by a lot of students.
Any timetable?
No timetable yet. You know, the construction is still completing right now, and then we've got a couple other steps to make it operational, but soon.
The students will love to hear that. Soon. The pub will be there soon.
Yes.
Any other specific topics you are looking forward to hitting on today?
Oh gosh, I don't, nothing specific for me in terms of, whatever they want to ask me. Yeah.
Well, the panel will be here to ask Monique anything they can, and the event will start in just about 15 minutes. So Monique, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Brian.
On State
You're
of the
welcome.
QUnion. All right, that's Monique Drucker. We'll be right back in just a little bit with more from the State of the QUnion, the pre-show on Q30 TV. Welcome back inside Burt Kahn Court on the Mount Carmel campus of Quinnipiac University. Bryan Schwartz here at the State of the QUnion, Quinnipiac's annual student, faculty, whatever you want to call it. They join together and they address all the big topics of Quinnipiac University at this time. So now we're going to run through the administrator panel that will be joining us today, right behind me, right over there. They will join us in just a few minutes. So let's go through who will be here. So we start with the president of Quinnipiac University, Judy Olian. Judy became the 9th president of the school in July of 2018. She was the dean of the UCLA Anderson School of Management for 12 years before coming to Hamden. She's developed a strategic plan with other faculty, staff, and students. Joining Judy is Jennifer Brown, the interim executive law faculty member since 1994 from the University of Illinois College of Law. She was a permanent member of the Emory Law faculty before that. Bethany Zemba will also join us on the panel. She's the chief of staff at Quinnipiac University. Her job oversees community relations and serves as the liaison to the Board of Trustees. She works directly with President Olian to set plans in action. Monique Drucker, who we just heard from, will also join us again. She's the vice president and dean of students. Like we just heard, she manages the division, which includes campus life, community service, fitness, recreation, among other things. She served as the school's Title IX coordinator and chaired the community assessment. Sal Filardi will also join us. He's the vice president for facilities and capital planning. He's been at Quinnipiac since 2012, responsible for facilities management, campus planning, construction, and real estate acquisitions for the school. The vice president and chief financial officer is Mark Varholak. He works with the president's cabinet on the annual operation budget, and he serves on the president's cabinet as well as the university's planning council. Joining him will be Don Sawyer. He's the vice president for equity and inclusion, overseeing international students and the study abroad program. He advises multicultural and identity groups on campus, responsible for inclusivity initiatives at Quinnipiac University. And finally, Annalisa Zinn. She's the vice president for academic innovation and effectiveness. She's responsible for all academic policies and academic support services. Zinn oversees Registrar Arnold Bernard Library, the Albert Schweitzer Institute, the Veteran Affairs Committee, and the Learning Commons. So those are the panelists that will join us today here at the State of the QUnion right behind us. There will also be a panel of 14 students, some SGA representatives, some from all around campus, like we heard from Sophia Marshall, that will join the panel, and we'll be able to ask questions to some of these administrators. So students are filing in behind me. It should be a fun hour and a half or so at this State of the QUnion, another one, the first time that they will be here at Burt Kahn Court, a bigger audience, which should be fun, a lot of questions to be answered for these administrators. Specifically, one that we just talked about with Monique Drucker was the pub that is coming on York Hills campus. Monique did not have a timetable for when the pub would open, but she did say they are excited. They will have things going on for people that are 21 and over, as well as underclassmen who might be under the age of 21, and those will come soon and be announced soon, and I'm sure we will hear some questions about that and hear more about that as well coming up on the State of the QUnion. Also, we'll probably hear more about the dining facilities at Quinnipiac and if the swipe system is actually something that will work, and if we will go towards something else for Quinnipiac dining. We'll also hear about many other things like club sports, which President Olian has embraced within the last year. That will come up, I'm sure, as well as many other things. The residence halls, which have had to undergo a little bit of a makeover down on Mount Carmel's campus, Pearl and Larson. Those will have updates on at the State of the QUnion as well. So those are just a few topics that we will go over today at the State of the QUnion. Again, we will join you again for a post-show following the State of the QUnion, and that'll be at about 5:30-ish, we'll call it right there. Well, we're approaching 4 o'clock as the students file in. We are just about set for the State of the QUnion. We're moments away, and we will join them in just a few minutes. We'll be right back on Q30 Television.
I am just here to, like I said, to say welcome, say thank you for coming out, to introduce President Olian to give some opening remarks.
Is tall. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome back. I have to say that it's a totally different campus without you. We walk around and we don't know what to do. So we were here like orphans for 6 weeks when you weren't here, and we are so happy to have you back. I do really appreciate opportunities like these, and I want to thank Sophia and Austin and the entire SGA, and what will be a tough set of questioning people from the flank over here and from each of you, because this kind of exchange, this kind of transparency, this kind of directness and openness is really what keeps us informed and what makes this community special. We get better through this kind of exchange. We build trust and confidence, and we do get some great ideas from you on how we can make the Quinnipiac community even better. As you can see here, we're surrounded by the best higher education team. All members are here, and we're really present to be responsive to you, but also to hear what's on your mind. So be sure to share that. I'm just going to make 3 quick points before we get into the essence of this exchange that we're having. First is some investments and improvements that are always ongoing, but ones that have been made most recently. The first is that we'll be opening on the rocks in a couple of weeks, actually 2 or 3 weeks, Sal Filardi. That is the pub at Rocky Top. Why did we call it On the Rocks? Because you chose the name that was the favorite among the survey that we administered. We think it's a fabulous name. Thank you for suggesting it. And that'll provide for a whole lot of programming that goes on throughout the week. I am going to disappoint some, I know, but you can drink alcohol only if you are actually 21, but there'll be a lot of events there that you can participate in. Outside, a whole big wall of screens. It's really a great sports bar and information bar because of those screens. 30 or so new pieces of exercise equipment up on Rocky Top in that facility there, and I encourage you to exercise, to be well. It's part of our wellness program, and please use it. And for those of you who are out on the Mount Carmel campus, Paul, Roth, Larson, and Troop, you can see are really advancing, and you can see one of the rooms that are going to, is an example of what will be there. They will be effectively brand new dorms that are ready to go at the end of May, and we'll have some summer programming there, and they will be new residence halls for students on campus. And we'll be continuing to renovate a lot of facilities as we go forward. We have what we call a master plan ongoing. That's the 10-year vision of all of the capital improvements, which means the buildings that we'll be renovating, moving, adjusting. And there are continuing major investments in the campus and in the campus buildings and facilities that are available to you. One that we're really, really excited about is a new wellness center. You gave a lot of input into what that wellness center needs to be. It will be connected to this facility, and is that the right word, Sal? Connected? It'll have a fantastic physical fitness space, for counseling, for medical needs, and programming needs, because we want people who graduate from Quinnipiac to be not just career ready, but life ready. And so the programs there will be around how do you prepare for a life of wellness, for a life of healthy adjustment to all of the challenges that might occur. So those are investments we continue to make. Those are the large ones. Of course, you see some smaller ones. Second is the strategic plan, and I know that you know that we unveiled it as the plan for the University of the Future, and we have 4 pillars embedded in it, and we continue to invest in each of those pillars. And I'll just pick 1 or 2 highlights under each of the pillars. The first is to create readiness for our students to graduate them as enlightened citizens for careers of the 21st century. So here are a couple of examples. Scott McLean, a favorite professor in political science, is taking 19 students over the next couple of weeks to the New Hampshire primaries so that they learn about them, but they also stump for their candidate of choice. That is learning immersion around being an enlightened citizen. And the School of Engineering is officially, its curricula are officially recognized by the National Academy of Engineering as embracing the 14 grand challenges for engineering. Its curriculum addresses major societal issues that the Academy is advancing. And of course, you know that environmental sciences, data analytics are new degrees that are being approved for next year in our various schools. Second pillar, around inclusive excellence, that we are a campus and want to be a campus, that everyone has a sense of belonging, where we thrive because of the commonalities and embracing across our differences. And as part of that, we just unveiled a series of celebrations and a website around Black History Month. There's a dinner that I invite you all to on the 25th. Nearly 50% of the new faculty hired in the College of Arts and Sciences were faculty of color. We believe that we become a more inclusive campus where at every level we have more diversity. We have 3 seamless transfer agreements already with community colleges to encourage students from community colleges to come here and to remove barriers of their transfer. And we're also exploring how to revise our commencement ceremony so it's more accessible even to individuals who are disabled. So you'll see some physical differences in the way we organize commencement. The third pillar around well-being, wellness for our own community and communities around us. We've launched a new sustainability committee that's developing a plan for the campus. There are students on it, and you have provided input most recently in the town hall around sustainability. And as I mentioned, we're designing the new comprehensive wellness center as part of our commitment to that wellness pillar. And the fourth pillar is around lifelong learning and lifelong engagement with our alumni. Georgetown University, in its most recent study, ranks us among the top 3% of colleges and universities based on long-term value of the degree from Quinnipiac. And as you know, Quinnipiac graduates do incredibly well in the marketplace, and that's a connection, a lifelong connection and success in the marketplace because of the connectivity of our faculty and programs to where the puck is headed in the market. And we're also rolling out Bobcat Connect to all of our undergraduate schools. Engineering is different, which is our version of LinkedIn to connect students with alumni, with mentors, with professional networks. So I encourage you to be part of Bobcat Connect, which will connect you to all of the resources among graduates of the university and connect them to you. Thirdly, I want to just reference again how important kindness is as a quality, how proud I am of our Quinnipiac family, that you really value that, you demonstrate that day in, day out. There are many reasons that we should be focusing on kindness. especially in the atmosphere and the broader environment. And it's also part of the core values of our university, and I see it day in, day out. I mentioned some research when I was last speaking that kindness is contagious. When you observe kindness, you're more likely to practice it, and when you experience kindness, you're more likely to reciprocate. So let's be kind, and others will mirror our kindness back at us. If you see here, we have hashtag QUkindness, where our students are putting up examples of kindness that they spontaneously encounter. And I want to thank Ali Glickman for being among the first to share an act of kindness. This is Ben Mann, who is on the rugby team, I think, but he's participating in QThon and really being a person who cares about others, demonstrating kindness. And I'm sure every one of you can use that hashtag, QUkindness, and put up an example. The other day, I was sitting in my office, and you know my office looks out on the quad, and I noticed, many of you know David Hall. He's an elderly person who gives out, I think it's cue cards. And many of you know him. He's been here for 50 years, over 50, almost pretty close to 50 years. But he has trouble going back and forth to the dining hall. And one of our public security officers, Kevin Devaney, just gave him his arm and walked with him, and it took a while to cross the quad from the dining hall to David's office, and just walked with him and made sure that he had a helping hand. Nobody saw it. I mean, he didn't know, but that's kindness, and I know that every one of you is that person who exercises that kindness and shows it to others and experiences it from others. So let's make sure that we make it public and promote it and celebrate it and act it out every day. So we are looking forward to this semester. There's so much going on, and I'm really happy to hear this dialogue and engage with you.
We're gonna just have people get food as the event is going on, so just try your best not to be disruptive of what's being talked about. But without further ado, I will welcome Sophia Marshall, SGA's Vice President, to get the event started.
That are here right now. Last year this was in the Piazza and we had only SGA members here, so it's really, really amazing to see all of you guys here, and really shows that you care about this event. Thank you to our amazing panel that agreed to do this. These are students that represent different areas of the university. Thank you so much to our amazing administration for being here and for answering our questions. So the way that this is going to go is we have questions here that we have sort of gotten from the student body over the course of the past few weeks. So I have a couple here that we picked as ones that the student body really cared about and wanted to hear about. And then we also have Slido up, as you can see. And basically how that works is you're going to go to slido.com, and the code is, I think, hashtag H640. Yep, right there. And basically you can ask questions. They're going to approve those questions over there, and then I'm going to periodically ask the questions with the most likes. So if you want to ask a question, that's how you do it. So without further ado, we're going to get started. So the first 45 minutes or so is going to be me asking questions from here in Slido, and the administration is going to answer. And if the student panel has anything to respond, or maybe they want to bring it up from a different perspective, they're going to do so. And then the last half hour is going to be the administration asking you all and the student panel questions, getting your student input. So, all right, question number one, and whoever wants to answer can. I'm not going to direct it towards anybody for the most part. Okay, so as we know, we have an amazing dining facility and amazing people who are extremely responsive to student feedback, but they're only as good as the budget they're given. So my first question is, some of our peer institutions pay more for better quality food. Is this something you've considered in the past, or something you plan to consider in the future? So giving the university a large budget for food.
Yes, everyone looks to me to take that one. So good afternoon, everyone, and I'm Mark Varholak. I'm Chief Financial Officer here at the university. I'm really happy to be here. One of my responsibilities is to oversee dining, and I work very closely with Chuck, who's here tonight, as you all know. That statement, when I received it, I thought was quite interesting because it puts out there that paying more equates to more food and better quality. And I would be careful with that assumption. It's maybe not always the case, but in this case, I think there are some things I would point out about that. The other universities that are paying more money and the programs are very different. They're an all-you-care-to-eat plan. They're board plans, as we call them. And, a couple things to think about in terms that would impact quality. When you have a board plan, you can't typically get all the specialty items that you can get here through a retail plan that you get at the university. So you can't go in and you can't get your Pepsi products, you can't get bottles of Gatorade, you can't get the specialty iced teas and things of that nature. You can't go in and get salmon, swordfish, I've seen steak, the sushi noodle bowl concept, acai bowls, which have been a huge hit. You don't have those in board plans. And so definitely they bring a level of quality to the program that we have here. I'd also say that when you have those plans and they're all you can eat, those institutions have to be very price conscious, and with that comes that they're possibly not, in some cases, purchasing the best or the same quality ingredients that we're purchasing here. And I would also say that when you think about a board plan versus the retail experience you have here, I go into the cafeteria and eat there almost every day. And I love hearing students say, or I'm watching students order a meal as exactly as they want it prepared. And so made to order is a huge part of the retail concept that on a board plan, yeah, you can have all you care to eat, but you have to eat exactly what is there, and I think that has some impact on quality as well. So, I mean, this is one of those instances where I really believe that, it's a lower price, and it may not have the same quality as an all-you-care-to-eat, but the quality, in my opinion, the same quantity, sorry. But the quality is clearly better. Now, we have had some hiccups and some issues that have been out there, but I think, you have nobody more committed than Chuck, who has held a town hall and availed himself to be in front of everybody to try and rectify those issues. As Sophia has said before, everything that students have put forward things in the future.
Awesome. Thank you, Mark.
You're welcome.
All right, next question. I see one up there on Slido. I'm going to kind of bridge a couple questions together here. So we have, what are you doing to address parking on the Mount Carmel campus, and also do you plan on expanding parking within the next few years?
Hi, everyone. I'm Sal Filardi. I'm the Vice President for Facilities and Capital Planning. I think the parking issue is something that we're looking at very closely. There's really two aspects of that. One is operational, which we're already beginning to address and see if there's different ways we could assign parking to make it more convenient for students. And as part of the master planning that Judy mentioned, we're looking at parking more holistically across all the university, all three campuses. And I think one of the things that we're really focused on is we would hope to make the university more pedestrian friendly. So parking is an issue. It's something that's we're being looked at, but exactly how we're going to address it going forward is going to depend on the outcome of the master planning. And like Judy mentioned, there'll probably be new facilities, renovated facilities. The campus, as you know it today, will probably look a little different in the future, so parking is going to look a little different too. But I think our goal is to make parking less of an inconvenience for students.
Awesome. Thanks, Sal. Does the panel have anything to respond? Josh?
Just bring up. Hello, I'm Josh Guerrero. I'm the commuter senator. And I know that last year there was this policy that you have proposed saying that juniors and seniors who live on campus will have premium parking to park at North Lot and other lots that many commuters rely on. So I'm just wondering how will it be addressed, and yeah.
Hi, everyone. I'm Monique Drucker. I'm the Vice President and Dean of Students. So thank you for that question. I can answer a little bit. We are looking at ways in which we can offer, it's not a policy, but it's a benefit to live on campus. So we're looking at premium parking for our juniors and our senior students. And that's all actually being run out of our Office of Public Safety, who is responsible for parking and transportation. So I'm working closely with them to help them identify what the needs are from the students, what we can do to make that parking available. We're certainly hearing from our students about parking, so we're really looking at ways in which we can address that.
Thank you, Monique. All right, my next question. Obviously, Club Sports just came to campus this year. We're really excited about it. So my question is, what is your vision for the future of Club Sports, this being its first year? And what do you need from the students and maybe even the administration in order to make this happen?
I'll take that one again. So we're very excited about Club Sports. We had 10 teams this year in our inaugural year. It's been a very successful year so far. I think what we're doing right now is analyzing what we can do to expand the offerings and to meet the interests of our students and the demand. Some of that has to do with some resources. Some of it has to do with roster balancing and trying to make sure that we have the facilities, the space, the funding, and just the equity across the rosters to do that. So we have a really enthusiastic Club Sports, intramurals, recreation staff in campus life. They're working with our students every day to talk about it, to find out what the needs are of our students, and we're really excited to be able to expand those. We're working on ways in which we can do that.
Awesome. Thank you, Monique. All right, my next, does the panel have anything to respond?
Hi, Erin Schuler, Women's Club Soccer. So just to get a little bit more information, what can we expect in terms of financial support for next season?
Right now, we're still working on the same budget model that we have for this year. So the financial support that we've been able to offer all of our teams this year will be in place for next year. So we're really happy to be able to do that. And we're just looking at ways in which we can increase that and be creative within my own budget and other ways that we can try to look at ways to offset the student cost for that. But right now, we can expect to have that same funding for the future.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Monique. Thank you, Erin. All right, my next question is going to come from Slido. Can you discuss ways to make the shuttle systems more efficient?
I'll jump in there for that one. So that's kind of tangential to parking. You know, it falls under the Department of Public Safety. We continuously look at the shuttle process. I think we're trying to improve a lot of the technology behind it. So I know in the last couple of years we rolled out an app, and people are following the app and saying, well, the app says the bus is here and it's not here. So we're working on the technology end and trying to make it as user-friendly as possible. So I think we all recognize we have a little ways to go there, but it is one of the important things we're trying to solve.
Awesome. Thank you, Sal. Panel, it's okay. All right. Next question. Do you plan on bringing any majors to the university or introducing any programs to Quinnipiac within the next few years? And in contrast, do you plan on cutting any programs, majors, or minors?
Yeah, I could take that. Hi, everybody. I'm Jennifer Brown, and I'm the Interim Executive Vice President and Provost here this year. And there are a number of programs that are in development. Judy mentioned a couple of them. The environmental studies, which would have both an environmental sciences BS and environmental policies BA. That's being developed within the College of Arts and Sciences, and it still has some work to do that we have to figure out. Staffing and lab space and things like that. I've seen the proposals so far, and it looks extremely exciting and very relevant. So I'm excited that that one is in progress. There's also, as Judy mentioned, a data science program and one that may be linked to master's, so that we could have yet another 3+1 master's in data science eventually, which would be a great benefit to our students, I think. Within the School of Business, there are some new majors that are going to be rolled out, including supply chain management, human resource management, and business analytics, and also a new BS in business that is a sort of more general and flexible approach to business, applied business, which we think will be really a great advantage for students who want a more interdisciplinary approach to a business degree. In the School of Engineering, there's some really good work being done, but I'd say, in fairness to them, I should say it's still in fairly early stages to explore possible new majors in engineering. With regard to cutting programs, we have no immediate plans to cut any programs, but as part of our work on the strategic plan and in making sure that the programs that we offer at Quinnipiac, the majors and degrees, are as relevant and as 21st century as possible, we're going to continue to look at those and to figure out what serves our students best. As part of the program review, which Annalisa Zinn is also working on with me, we want to make sure that we're tying our majors to market demand. And sometimes that will require some tweaking of the programs to make sure that they're really putting our students in the best position as they go out into the market. But if we were to decide that any program or major were going to be discontinued, what you need to know is that there would be a very clear plan for teach out. Any student who had come to Quinnipiac to study in that area would have the opportunity to finish their degree. So you never have to worry about some rug being pulled out from under you.
Awesome, thank you so much. All right, the next one I'm going to take from Slido here. It says, the number of students seeking a counselor has increased significantly over the last few years. What options are in place now or will be in the future so that students can see a counselor as soon as possible, with the knowledge that oftentimes students have to wait a while to get a counselor appointment?
Thank you. I'm so glad you asked that question, or whomever posed it. We absolutely did see, and I think many of you felt this last semester, an increase in the demand on our counseling services, and that did produce a wait time for students to be able to secure appointments. What I'm really happy to tell you is that as of today, we are able to offer same-day appointments for our students. So if you go to the counseling services and you're asking for an appointment, we can get you an appointment today. Part of that is because of a shift in some of the modeling that we're doing with our own counselors on staff, and we're evaluating how that's working, but so far we've been really pleased with it. The caveat is if you ask for an appointment really late in the day, if the appointments are full, we're going to have you slide in the next day. But we're really being able to do that on a day-to-day basis since we've opened this spring, and we're excited about that. So we're ready and able to serve you. We anticipate that we're going to keep doing that and meeting the needs of all of you.
Awesome, thank you, Monique. Anybody have anything to add? Asaya?
Hi, Asaya. I'm the treasurer for Naturally Me, and I'm also on the multicultural students as the counselor. But I was wondering about counseling. Are you looking to hire more diversity inside the selection of counselors that you have? I mean, they're pretty good now, but I feel like there should be more male counselors, more African American, Asian, American, people from different backgrounds that students could feel, students of all, backgrounds on campus could feel more comfortable speaking to with their needs.
Sure. Thank you for asking that. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's always a goal of ours to hire and to recruit and to have staff who can meet the needs of our students, and diversity is really important to us. So yes, when we have opportunities, when positions are open, we absolutely are committed to seeking that.
Awesome. Thank you, Monique. All right, my next question. Obviously, with FYS, we're starting to see more conversation around the efficacy of that course. So my next question is, do you anticipate any changes to the freshman year seminar course within the next few years?
Yes, we do. And I'm also going to ask my colleague Annalisa Zinn to speak to this because she has so much direct involvement in the first year seminar, and I think she could speak to it very specifically and enthusiastically.
Yes, absolutely. So thanks for that question. You picked one of my favorite topics to talk about. So yes, we are indeed reviewing the process of our first year seminar, because it is a course with awesome opportunity to really be a gateway. We're very open, so please don't hesitate. If you have an idea, just drop me a line.
Awesome. Thank you, Annalisa.
I just wanted to add one piece there. I think the opportunity for the first year seminar is also to set the foundation of who we are, what we believe in, what our values are, what is the meaning, the essence of the Quinnipiac community. And as we roll out with a statement of values that characterizes what we believe in at Quinnipiac, and we're getting to that point. Austin has been involved in development of that. That will be a foundational piece as part of the seminar, because it really establishes what we stand for here and preparing you to be enlightened citizens for careers of the 21st century.
Thank you, President Olian. Panel, all set? Awesome. Okay, next question I'm going to grab from Slido. How can we make graduation more inclusive to students with larger families / divorced families who may have more than 4 immediate family members?
Do you want to take it? Well, I'll take it because it's a tough one. It worked pretty well last year because there was a free market system among our students. There are families that have fewer than 4 people, and there are families that have more than 4 people, and we encourage the trade. We also have set up systems that there's a large visual opportunity in the other stadium to see what's going on. And we'll do our utmost to enlarge the number of seats in each of the commencements. But by and large, I think we were able to accommodate with that free trading system most of the families.
Awesome, thank you. Panelists, anything to respond? Okay, awesome. All right, moving into our next question. So I don't know how many people in the room know this, but there's actually a new position that's coming, a very high-level position called the Chief Experience Officer, centered specifically around the student experience, which is amazing. So my question is, when can we anticipate the search for this position to begin, and can you guys share more details about what that role will actually entail?
The search is underway. And just this week, in fact, Bethany Zemba and I had the opportunity to do Zoom interviews with a number of really terrific, exciting leaders in higher education who completely understand what we're trying to achieve by taking a more holistic approach to the student experience that puts together, what happens to you during the admissions process? What happens to you with financial aid? How do you interact with the registrar, the bursar, student affairs, public safety, right? That the whole picture of your life outside the classroom. And how can we have a person who's at the senior-most level of administration at Quinnipiac who is thinking about the way all those things get woven together for you? So our hope is that we will be bringing finalists back for that position, and we've got to figure out sort of at what point in the process these people want to be public with the fact that they're being considered by Quinnipiac, because many of them have high-level positions at other universities and colleges, so they have a legitimate interest in some confidentiality. But consistent with protecting that interest, we also want to be inclusive and have other folks involved in the search.
Thanks, Jen. I appreciate it. Anything to respond? Raina?
So I'm part of the Multicultural Council as well. And with that position, would there be a possibility to possibly have a student in the undergraduate or even like multiple students to work with that person? Because obviously it is a student experience and we are the students. So just to have an easy way for us to connect with the students and kind of relay that message to whoever will be in that position.
I think so. Can you say a little bit more about what you mean by work with the person?
So like basically like a graduate assistant, how they work with like the students to relate to any of the higher up like executives. So like the people who work in the campus life office. So would there be a possibility to have a student work with the person in that position to kind of like talk to the students and like get feedback and like kind of have a student input in that?
I think that's a really interesting idea, a really interesting model, and it's one we definitely should explore. Think about what the right role is as a liaison, and almost like a research fellow, a student fellow within that office. I think that's a terrific idea.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. All right, my next question is, this is for you, Don. So obviously you just got promoted to this new role. It's very exciting. Vice President for Equity and Inclusion this year. So what are some things that you've been working on that you're really excited about?
That I'm excited about?
Yes.
I think the overall position is exciting when we think about the idea of making sure that the university, that our campus is conducive to the success of all students. I think that's exciting. I think about the fact that we aim to recruit, retain, and graduate, a civically engaged, global-minded student body. That's exciting. But one of the things that I'm excited about now, we just made an offer to fill our position of the Director of International Student Services, and so that's in place. So I'm excited about that and being able to pay a lot more attention to our international students who are on campus, not just on the compliance side, but also on the programming side to ensure that they can be successful here. Recently, we filled the position that was open for a while, the Director of Multicultural Education and Training. So I'm excited about that and what we'll do on campus. But I'm also excited about moving forward and continuing to have conversations with faculty, staff, and students about us creating the university that they want to see. So whether it's open forums and things of that nature. And so we'll be releasing a document soon that was based on some of the open forums that we've had and some of the concerns that were raised, and we'll highlight some of the things that we're doing to address those concerns, things that have already been done, and the responsible parties, and working with Darryl on that document, and so you'll see more about that, and so I'm excited.
Awesome, thank you so much.
Can I add something?
Oh, for sure.
Sophia, thank you, and thanks, Don. Our definition of diversity and inclusion, or equity and inclusion, is really a very broad one, and one that includes the respect for the humanity of every single person. But what it doesn't mean is that we protect everyone from things that might be uncomfortable. So part of our role in creating inclusion is also inclusion of ideas that may not be comfortable to us. And our goal is that we can have a spectrum of views that we hear, that we listen to, that we might not agree with, and we might violently disagree with, but that we can respectfully engage with a range of people that are like us and that are not like us, and still see not just the humanity in each, but the value in each. And so part of what we do is to broaden the perspective of all of us around diversity, but not protect people from what they might be uncomfortable with. And that's an important nuance, and I'm sure, Don, you can add to that.
Yeah. I mean, one of the conversations that we've had, if you pay attention to the larger landscape of the political climate that we're in, if you pay attention to any news source that you watch, it seems as if we've come to a place where we don't necessarily have an exchange of ideas, right? There's arguments that take place, and people are not necessarily listening. We talk about what we're against a lot, but we don't necessarily talk about what we are for. And so as an institution of higher education, I think this is a place where we're supposed to have intellectual debate, where our beliefs may be strengthened, and at times they're going to be challenged. But I think in that challenge, that's how we grow as an institution. When we come to this institution of higher education, when we leave here, we have to understand that we're going to be going out into a world of people who may not think like us, look like us, or believe the same things that we believe, but we have to be able to exist in those spaces. And so I think it's our responsibility to create those opportunities here for our students to learn those skills and how to navigate the world that they're going to be going into. And so that's what we want to do here. And again, those are the things that I'm excited about in working with all of you.
Awesome. Thank you, Don. Anybody on the panel? Awesome. All right, I'm going to grab the next one from Slido. Can you provide an update on the construction of the President's house? Is it on time and on budget, especially considering the current budget's restraints?
We are very close to finishing up the construction project. I would, like I've done in the past, change it from the president's house to really it's a facility on a campus that houses the president, but it also provides entertainment space and living quarters. So if a future president has a family, there's extra bedrooms for children. And if the president doesn't have a family like we currently have, then we have guest rooms for special guests. So it's really much more than a president's house, but it is on budget and it is nearing completion.
Awesome. Thank you, Sal. Any response to that? All right, I'm going to grab the next one from Slido 2. So obviously, Veterans Day is a really, really special holiday that honors the people who have served, and we have our SVO president right here, actually, which is really awesome. So my question is, why does Quinnipiac fail to recognize the federal holiday of Veterans Day and instead gives the university veteran population an unexcused absence?
The veteran community is really a highlight, I think, of the Quinnipiac family, and I believe we're rated as #1 in Veterans Affairs as a veteran-friendly campus, and I believe that is because of the sense of belonging of veterans on the campus, that you embrace our veterans, that they feel comfortable and respected and embraced. I think there are many ways to celebrate differences, and there are many communities that we celebrate in ways that highlight their special values, their value, their accomplishments, how much pride we have in them, and how indebted we are to them in the case of veterans. So we do have a variety of celebrations of veterans and ways to highlight the history and legacy that they bring without necessarily having a holiday. And what I would say is that I encourage the community to follow these events, whether it's Black History Month, Latino, Women's History, Veterans Day, to engage in learning about each of these groups, the legacy, sometimes the legacy of suffering and history, and to celebrate these groups in ways that are meaningful and represent learning.
Awesome. Thank you, President Olian. Anything to respond there?
I'll respond. I'm Colby. I'm the president of the Student Veterans Organization here at Quinnipiac. We are nationally recognized. We're just number 10 in the country ranked this year. We don't get Veterans Day off, so I don't know who asked that question, but the school does above and beyond for all of us here at the school, and we greatly appreciate you guys. So even without a day off, we appreciate everything.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Colby. Yeah. All right. My next question. So, President Olian, you spoke a little bit earlier about the pub being built in New York on the rocks. That's super exciting. So, I was just wondering if you overall could comment on the pub that is being built on York, just overall, if there's a specific release date, and what any information that you can sort of share about the pub.
Yeah, we're targeting the Yale game as the kind of grand opening for it.
That's awesome.
the bar top's going in right now. The floor is being finished up. It's very near completion. We're excited about it, not just that it's a pub, but again, it's kind of a multifaceted facility. It's going to have the ability to have programming there that's for non-alcoholic events also. So yeah, that's the date.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
And can I make one more?
Yeah, of course.
I go to a lot of games, women's, men's, all kinds, and I love, love, love seeing students there. It's a great way to celebrate the spirit of Quinnipiac, to really admire the team's excellence and commitment, and I want to encourage all of you to spend time cheering on our teams.
Awesome. Thank you. Anything to respond? Well, that's really exciting. We're excited about that. That's awesome. Okay, so I'm looking around this audience and I see a lot of people that care very deeply about sustainability. So obviously the nation as a whole is moving towards becoming more sustainable. So what are Quinnipiac's plans to become more sustainable over the next few years?
We're going to ask Vice President Bethany Zemba, who's been very involved with this, to respond. Bethany, you might want to.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Probably.
Hello. Oh, good, it's working. Hi, I'm Bethany Zemba. I'm Vice President and Chief of Staff, and I am one of the members of the Sustainability Committee that has just been appointed. As you know, creating an inclusive environment, thinking about nurturing communities is pillar 3 of the strategic plan, and sustainability falls within that. So the committee has been meeting. There's been 2 town halls, and there's also been a Blackboard forum so people can submit comments about sustainability. And the goal of this committee is really to think about what is the vision and goals of sustainability for the Quinnipiac community. And once we have those goals, then there will be another committee that's appointed that will operationalize the plan after it's approved by the leadership here at Quinnipiac. And we do have one of the members of the committee here with us, Leah. I don't know if you want to say anything else, Leah. Okay, great. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Bethany. Anything to respond over here? Awesome. Okay, so obviously we have this amazing strategic plan. We have the master's facilities plan as well, being rolled out right now. Are there any changes that we can expect to see within the next 12 months, aside from the pub on York Hill, Larson, and Troop?
So that's a great question, but that's a big exception, right? I think the pub and Larson, Peralta, and Troop are really big adds. But we continuously look at ways to improve the student experience. So some of the smaller things that we've done in the recent past, and I would expect we'll have more of them moving forward, or things like furniture on the quad was a student suggestion. Some of the graphics, the school pride graphics that went up in the student center were a suggestion from students. So we continue to kind of listen to what you suggest and try to implement as many things as are feasibly possible. And right now we are focusing on those kind of big things, that those are under construction and we're finishing up. But we're also focusing on finishing up the designing for the Health and Wellness Center and the other things in the master plan.
Awesome. And there are continuing investments in academic spaces. The physical therapy program had a whole 4th floor of simulation labs set up over the summer. We will continue to be improving some of these academic spaces. We put in all kinds of equipment and chairs in classrooms. The hanging track will be improved or rebuilt over the summer. So you will see smaller things. Obviously, we're consumed by these large projects.
Awesome. Thank you. Anything to respond? I just wanted to, Sal, you mentioned the Health and Wellness Center, so I just have a quick follow-up. Can you give us an update on the planning process of that, and do you know when construction might begin or when we can anticipate it beginning?
Yeah, we are just transitioning from programming, which is kind of figuring out what we want to be in the building and what it might look like, and into the design phase, which actually draws up the drawings that can then go out to contractors so we can build it. We're expecting right now a completion of January 2022. So we're hoping to start construction this year. Summertime would be a good time, but that's quickly approaching. So once we get started, we'll go to completion. So we don't have a specific start date, but we'll get started soon.
Awesome, thanks, Sal. That's awesome. That's really exciting. Anything from the panel? Awesome. Okay, so my next question is, this is sort of to the group. Can you give us an update on the Provost search, by any chance?
It's progressing, and we are, again, very much deferential to the need for confidentiality of the candidates. As you probably imagine, people that already have very good positions would not want to be very public about their search for an alternative. We are looking at a very small list of serious finalists. Typically, these roles transition in the academic year cycle, so we expect to make an announcement in the next month or two, and then have somebody on board somewhere over the summer.
Awesome.
In the meantime, we have a fantastic interim provost who will be going back to the law school as dean.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And yeah, Jen, you do great work. Anything to respond here? Awesome. All right. My next question is, we are going to go with, in regards to 3+1 programs, in students' final graduate year, they cannot hold leadership positions in many undergraduate activities despite it being their 4th year at the university. Have you ever considered changing this rule pending they pay an undergraduate student fee?
I'm going to say about the 3+, and I like to call them the 3+X programs because that's my bias from the law school. Of course, I think about 3+3, but I know there are other numbers that get added on to the 3. So with respect to the 3+X programs, I think we don't have any immediate plans to change any of the policies that are attached to them, but what we do plan to do is undertake a thoroughgoing review of those. And so that would include things like policies around leadership in the 4th year. It could also have to do with residential requirements. It could have to do with different pricing policies that we have in place for some programs, overloads, summer credits, et cetera. So we understand that there's a whole host of policies and aspects of those programs that make them attractive, and we want to look at those in a more holistic way.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Anything to respond? All right. Again, in regards to the 3+1 programs at the university, so with the knowledge that some 3+1 programs at the university have fixed tuition, for example, 3+1 business, have you considered doing this for other undergraduate to master's programs, for example, OT, PT, PA, for their undergraduate years?
So if I were a witness on a witness stand, I would say same answer.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. No, but that will certainly be a part of the analysis.
All right. Awesome. Thank you. Anything to respond there? Okay. All right, my next question is, as the master planning process unfolds, what kind of renovations or additions can students expect to see in the Carl Hansen Student Center?
So we're right in the middle of planning, so we don't have any specifics on specific buildings and things like that, but I think, like we mentioned earlier, the student experience is a very important part of the master plan, one of the stronger tenets, and I think we can expect that the student center will be expanded and renovated. I think the goal would be to get the right spaces and enough spaces for students to meet student need.
Awesome. Thanks, Sal. Josh?
Hi again, I'm the commuter senator. So, do you have plans to make a more dedicated commuter lounge? Because the one near Starbucks is not as ideal. If you do have any ideas or any considerations.
I think yes is the answer, because we're trying to enhance the student experience for all students. But again, we don't have specific plans for any group or any program right now, but we are developing that, and that is something we'll be looking at.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Josh. Okay. Oftentimes, different teachers can make a standardized course incredibly difficult for students, while other teachers teaching the same course make the same class far easier. Is there any way to standardize these classes to a higher degree in order to make them equitable for all to take them?
Annalisa and I have been, we've had conversations about this, and of course, her office is undertaking ongoing assessment of courses all the time. And part of what we're balancing here, of course, is this desire for fairness and consistency in grading and in the student experience, while also respecting professors' academic freedom and the control they have over their courses. But what you all should know is that that is part of our assessment all the time. And Annalisa, do you want to speak to that more specifically at all?
I just want to say that it corresponds to our commitment to excellence in learning, and also recognizing that we want consistency across courses to ensure, especially as students progress to the same course. So we're definitely sharing the same thing. At the same time, we recognize that sometimes there are differing perceptions among students, so we always take the feedback very seriously. But in all things, you can be assured that the whole process is to ensure that students are learning. And sometimes they are tough, not because of a teacher, but because of the fact you are in a program in which there are specific job readiness skills that must, or content that must be acquired by that. But be assured we're always paying attention to that.
Thank you both for that. All right, I'm going to take a few more questions from Slido, and then we're going to switch over to the administration, asking our panel and all of you guys questions. So many peers wait an extended/long time for their cases to be processed, whether it be Title IX, incident of bias, or student conduct situations. How can this be improved?
We are very conscious of that, and I think that fairness is key, but fairness involves speed of resolution too. At the moment, the structure of some of these investigations dictates that it needs to take time, and we're dependent on external agencies, police in some cases, that take their time and have to do the investigation. So we are systematically examining which parts of those external processes that, by the way, we don't control, we can accelerate and even bring in-house, because we are mindful of the stress and the ambiguity and uncertainty that these cases introduce.
Thank you for that. Anything to respond? Okie dokie. All right, my next question. Is there a way to increase the number of non-federal work-study job opportunities on campus for those who are not granted federal work-study?
Okay.
I can actually say one thing. One thing we're increasingly looking at, and there were a few new positions, about how we can provide positions that are also sort of internship opportunities. So I'll give one example. We have a student who works with us in the Office of Academic Assessment and Research, and because of that experience, he now wants to go into data analytics, has his career path. So that's something we're trying to see how we can make in the academic sphere more opportunities for student jobs that align also with real-world experience that helps you prepare for the future. So yes, that's something we're working on.
Awesome. All right, one final question before we move over to the administration asking the student panel questions. What steps are being taken within the next few years to foster a better sense of pride and tradition on campus?
Hello, my name is Daryl Richard. I'm one of the newest members of the Bobcat family. I joined about 2 months ago as the new head of marketing and communications for the university. I love this question because when I think about pride, I think it comes from so many different sources. It comes from history and tradition of individuals and organizations. Pride comes from a lot of things we do in terms of sharing stories around accomplishments and victories, such as the big Cornell win just last Friday. And pride, of course, comes from purpose and feeling sort of like a bigger mission that we're all driven by. So when I think about what we're doing for pride, I think a lot of it boils down to how do we collect the energy in this room? I mean, this is where a lot of the pride comes from, and share those stories in a more organized way. And how do we continue to get you as involved as possible in sort of sharing what the story is of Quinnipiac and what there is to be proud of. So there are a number of things that we're doing to try to amplify our storytelling. For example, just a new page that we've created that can help aggregate all these great stories that happen around the Quinnipiac community into one place. Right now, they're sort of fragmented, and it's hard to sort of see that coalesce all together. And integral to that is those stories coming from you. We need to hear from the 10,000 students around this campus, because that's truly where the energy comes from. And then we'll be looking at ways, as Sal mentioned earlier, there's signage and banners and sort of different ways to bring the Quinnipiac brand to life across campus, so that there's a sense of pride as you're walking around. And when our tours come through, it's visible and tangible what they see us. So I think there's a lot of work in progress, but what most excites me is that there's just a lot of desire and energy to sort of invest in this area.
Awesome, thank you.
So I want to just amplify two things that Daryl said. Number one is it's this daily webpage called QU Today. How many of you have seen it? Hey guys, so how do we find it? So QU.edu, and then you get directed immediately to QU Today, and thanks to the marketing team, I mean, it's really telling stories about you. Secondly, we tend to tell people, don't be arrogant, don't brag all the time. This is the one time you can brag. You can brag about Quinnipiac, you can brag about your peers, you can brag about how great your experience is, and get on the mountains high. And so part of the pride comes from us exercising that pride, us exuding that pride among all of the circles that we're in.
Awesome, thank you. All right, at this point, we're going to move over to the administration, asking our amazing student panel questions. So I'll let you guys take the lead on this for the last 23-ish minutes that we have.
Well, thank you. And thank you, Sophia, for making us this forum so fantastically informative and serious. And I hope that you're getting some answers that you're really seeking. And I'm now going to be especially excited about putting some of you guys on the spot. My first question is, and people know me to be a half glass full kind of person, and I want to hear, because I often hear from you when something isn't working, but I want to hear about what things are, in your mind, the distinctions of Quinnipiac that we should be broadcasting far and wide. What is really special about Quinnipiac? About your experience?
Yeah, Raina, go ahead.
So for me personally, I'm very heavily involved on campus. I'm president of 2 clubs. I'm part of a council. I work in the admissions office. I work for the athletic office. And so I think for me, like, the biggest thing that I love about Quinnipiac is the chance to be involved and, like, work with so many different people and, kind of have so many different experiences that, like, when I go to a job interview, like, my resume could possibly be 3 to 4 pages long because of all the stuff that I'm involved with. And when I give tours and I tell people, like, you can be as involved as you want to, and, like, we highly encourage that. Like, parents love that, that they love that the investment that they're making for their their kids, like, that they can do so much more than just show up to class. And I think that having the opportunity to kind of put yourself out there and do different things that you didn't necessarily do in high school is something to really capitalize on.
Our Vice President for Enrollment Management, Eric Sykes, over here, is listening very carefully. Any others? Because this is what we're going to be promoting ourselves, materials.
Really quick, too, if anybody in the audience wants to sort of comment on anything, they can raise their hand. Somebody from SGA could just grab that mic as well.
Distinctions, unique experiences. Here we have Bethany over here.
There's a mic right there.
There's a mic right there as well.
So I was on the athletic website, and I saw freshmen turn to first years, and I'm like, that's kind of sudden. And I was curious, why did the transition from freshman to first year was like instant without like anyone knowing about it? Like, I'm really confused.
That's something that I'm an orientation leader, and actually the director of our orientation programs over there right now. So we could, if you want to go talk to her about that, you're more than welcome. But I think she's probably the best person to sort of answer that question.
I mean, part of it is just about inclusive language, right? Because when we say freshman, everyone is not a man. And so as we move on with the times, it's a first-year student is more inclusive.
Yeah, because I know Ithaca College did that, and I thought I was the only one. And when we say the word freshman, we didn't think that would be like derogatory or anything. I was just like really curious. Yeah.
I'm still asking for distinctions here.
Josh, do you want to jump in?
Yeah. One thing I really like is the educational opportunities. I'm one of the students that is going to New Hampshire, so I'm going.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I'm leaving tomorrow, and
tell us how it goes when you come back. It is snowing, a lot of snow.
I heard it's gonna snow, so
yeah,
to get dressed warm. But yeah, that's that's one of the things I really appreciate, because Quinnipiac is one of the few universities that offer this type of program to go to New Hampshire as part of a course. And it's like a good name. It makes the university look really good on that.
Okay. You're on. Oh, no. Isa, okay.
Anybody else? Kelly, go ahead.
Oh, hi, I'm Kelly. I think that a distinction that Quinnipiac has during my experience here, and I'm a senior, so I've been here for 4 years almost, is the professors. I'm a student in the political science department, and I was really impressed with the professors that I've had throughout my time and how much they care and how much they remember me from year to year and my interests, so I can go to a professor I had freshman year and still talk about them, about something I cared about freshman year this year.
Aaron, go ahead.
There's one more person.
Someone in the audience.
Go ahead.
The gentleman.
He can go first.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm probably a bit of a special case, so I'm part of the honors program at the university, and one of the distinctions that I think is a really big one is over spring break, there's 10 of us, including Melissa Kaplan, who are going to London. And so I don't think that's an opportunity many students at universities are going to get to go with a very small group of students and the director of the program to learn to learn in another country. I wouldn't call it a study abroad, but the honors program opens up many pathways that I don't think many other students are going to get.
Awesome, yeah, thank you.
That's great. And there was one more in the back there. Thank you.
I think one of the other distinctions that we could talk about to incoming students is just our health science programs compared to different schools, because I remember my sister went here, so I knew the differences that for example, we're one of the only schools that brings in actors, real actors, to actually act as patients, and no other school does that. But when I went on a tour here, they didn't even mention that. That was one of the cool reasons I chose to come here, was just because we're one of the only schools that does that. So I think making anything known that our school does that other schools doesn't, and then just another thing, how we were just there was an article about how Quinnipiac students get the most jobs after graduation. We're the most successful. I feel the main people that are reading that articles are people that are already at Quinnipiac. We should make that more known to people that are trying to come here. This is how successful our students are, because we're proud of it, but other people should know that our school is that good as well.
Thank you.
Erin, you have one more thing?
Yeah, so for Club Sports, obviously, this is our first year affiliated with campus. And definitely being affiliated has done a lot for all 10 teams that are now wearing the Quinnipiac name. And another thing that is just great too is that we also created a Club Sports Advisory Board, which really does bridge like all the teams, because we have one representative from each team meet once a month, and we talk about the different improvements and how just to make club sports like an even better program, which is fantastic.
Anybody have anything else before we move to, oh, Joe, go ahead.
So I'm not sure if this has been covered yet already, but in some of the conversations that I've had, I personally am a School of Business student, and I know that for students that are in School of Business, we have a course specifically for students to learn more about building their resume and getting to know more about the interview process, but I can't say the same for other students that are in CAS, for example. So what is the school planning on doing to try to implement that for students like that so that they get the same experience? I know for me, I have students that are health science majors, and they don't even know how to put together a resume, which I feel like is a very basic thing for a college student to know how to do, especially when you need to graduate.
I'll just respond on that. As part of our strategic plan, we do recognize that there needs to be a more holistic view of career preparation, and it differs in the different fields. I mean, preparing to be a nurse is different from preparing to be a teacher, is different from preparing to be a marketing strategist, et cetera, et cetera. And we are thinking of what we would call a matrix structure, where there are some commonalities across the career preparation and some differences based on the fields. That is part of our 5-year strategic plan, and I think that's an important point that you raised. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. Another question, I think.
Daryl. Lisa has it. Yeah.
All right, so I'll admit this is a little bit of a selfish question as the head of marketing and communications, but I really want to know from all of you, what are the most effective communication channels for us to get information to you? Is it email? Probably not, I'm guessing.
And like broadening, at least for the Quinnipiac community, like we all see that. I think emails can sometimes get lost, and social media can sometimes get blurry. So yeah.
Go to the mic.
Hey, I think the MyQ page is also a really great idea. I think if it was updated to be a bit more user-friendly, it would be a lot better of a communication device, because a lot of students do go on there, but it's our internal site, and compared to our external site, it's not as user-friendly or as eye-catching. But a lot of students do use it, but with a better interface, I think you get a lot more interaction.
I think even for students who don't necessarily, like I'm not really tech savvy myself, so I don't really check MyQ a lot. I'm on my email a fair amount, so I'm pretty proud of myself for that. But I tend to hear a lot of things by word of mouth, or really genuinely by like student organizations. So like the student government has done an amazing job of like publicizing just this event, if not a million other ones that they've had over the semester, just to get us as students more involved. So if you want to use more student organizations, like a student programming, kind of promote this new kind of change that you're going to bring to campus, I think that'd be a really good idea. Yeah.
You could just come up to the mic.
So what I noticed in like housing wise, when I went to orientation, they say athletes will be placed together. When I moved in, there was like athletes were in my hall, and then they're like, oh, all the athletes are placed in Irma or Dana, and why are they in commons, and why it's like random sports, not just like hockey gets placed in hockey, and then everyone else is like random.
I appreciate that comment. I think right now this is the administration's time to ask questions. If you want to come talk to me after, we can definitely have that conversation. But I think we have to honor and respect their time here. I actually have something to add to that. Okay.
Back there.
Yeah, Destiny, go ahead.
Hi, my name's Destiny. I'm on the women's rugby team. I'm also an RA on campus. I've been an RA for 2 years. So it's not true that all athletes get placed together and that they get selective housing. I have teammates who live in Commons. I have teammates who live in Mountain View, who live in Irma. It's really a truly random process. I know basketball players who get placed in all kinds of different housing. It's really random. You can ask RAs around, and I can guarantee you all of them have different athletes as their residents. So that, it's not a special privilege kind of thing.
Awesome. Thanks, Destiny. One thing that I did want to suggest to sort of add is I think one thing, especially when we're talking about prospective students and sort of getting to them, social media is where everybody is. And I think that the university has a pretty good social media presence, but I think maybe being active on other sites aside from Instagram too, maybe like a Quinnipiac TikTok would be cool because TikTok is something that's, sort of becoming more prevalent. So, I mean, I think just like staying in touch with, where the student population is at, I think that would be really cool. And, having a little fun with it. I think that's what students really want to see. They want to be able to have fun at their university. So, anyone else have anything for this question?
So here's another.
Oh, sorry.
I just have.
Go ahead.
So definitely, we as the Club Sports Advisory Board are working with Greg and Mike with building part of a website. Well, the website's built, but the club sports side of it. So I guess just like Soph was saying, to just get it out to more people, that there is information all on that page that has the list of all the teams with all the information. And like you said, social media, every single team has an Instagram page, and club sports as a whole also has an Instagram page. Maybe just also DUQU also is a pretty good idea if we just get more people to look at it a little bit more frequently, because I'm also the president of QU Snow, and a decent amount of people check it. And I was getting emails before we'd even scheduled any trips or anything, just about when ticket sales were, when the trips were, just asking questions based off of them finding us on DUQU.
Awesome, thank you.
There was one more over there, or two more, sorry.
Hi. So I'm a 3+1 student, and I wanted to touch a little bit upon the 3+1 question that was asked before about leadership in the fourth year. So I'm an RA, and I have been for 2 years. And last semester, all of the 3+1 RAs were originally notified that we weren't allowed to be RAs anymore in the fourth year, about a week before our junior housing selections were due. So a lot of us were really frustrated. A lot of third-year RAs didn't have anywhere to live. We didn't have money plans on how we were going to stay on campus, or even if we could stay on campus. Though that we now fought for ourselves and we're getting grandfathered in. The current 3+1 RAs who aren't third years are not going to be allowed to be RAs again during the fourth year. Do you guys plan on doing anything different about that in the future? And how are you guys going to plan to avoid future oversight issues like the one that happened within residential life?
No, she's not. That's you.
Okay. Well, I'm an interim, so I think there are the issue that you raise with leadership positions for 3+1 students in the fourth year and the RA positions. I mean, I think it's complicated, and one of the things that at least I was told, because I came into it sort of from the outside, is that one of the goals is also to increase access to opportunity for a wide array of students. And when students have already had the opportunity to be an RA in their junior year, maybe it's time to let other students have a chance to do that as well. So that was one of the factors that was taken into account. The other, I think the theory behind it was that when you're in that fourth year of a 3+X program, your orientation does change a little bit more to your graduate program. And, you may have a different workload, you may have a different course schedule. I can only speak with firsthand knowledge of the students in the law school. I think that is definitely true for them. So I'm not sure the extent to which it might also be true, say, in the business school. I don't have a judgment about that. But I think these are the kinds of issues that we need to be looking at in this sort of holistic way to decide what kind of policies should apply, what's fair to the students who are in that, and what's also best for other students who aren't 3+X students, to make sure that people have an opportunity to be a part of these things.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, so we have about 4 to 5 minutes left, so if there's a last question that you as administration want to ask, feel free.
I think I was going to ask a question.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
So how many here are seniors or getting ready to graduate? Lots of you. Good, because you're the audience for this question. You're getting ready to go out there into the world. I'd like to know, what is the one thing that maybe is making you most nervous or most excited about this transition from school into your work and professional life? And maybe what is it that you think you may be drawing upon from your experience at Quinnipiac as you make that transition, as you move out into the world? So what's making you nervous? How are you going to deal with it, drawing upon what you've been doing here at Quinnipiac?
Kelly?
Just from talking to my fellow seniors, I think the thing that's making them most nervous and that what everyone's really focusing on right now is getting a job. It's just a looming cloud over everybody right now. So I think there's already a bunch of resources here for us to use, but I think really highlighting those for those seniors who might not know where to go and like point them in a direction, I think that would be really awesome, because people, I think, really do get that sense of panic, especially around this time where we only have one semester left.
Great.
I mean, I'm a junior, but can I answer? Okay. I'm only a junior, but like I'm close to the end. I think for me, what makes me most nervous is that like I'm not going to necessarily find like a job that I'm most excited about, I guess. I mean, working obviously is not exciting, but trying to find a way to take all the things that I've done at college and put that into one career, for me is like I have no idea what I want to do. And then also, like, I've changed my major 3 times because I'm still trying to, like, figure out what it is I want to do. So, but I finally decided on something and I figured it out. And I think that talking to, like, my academic advisors and talking to the chairs of all the different schools and really, like, how I can, like, make a career out of whatever it is that I want to, like, it is possible. And, like, I don't have to think about everything, like, right at that second. So I will say that, like, all the people in the business school, like, did help me, like, figure that out. So I'm not really that nervous anymore. And also my mom, you know, not talk to your parents.
Anybody else?
Hey, Soph, over here. Sophia, right here.
Oh.
It's like an answer and a question at the same time. It was Bobcat Connect. Judy Olian, was that what you talked about earlier with the, I really like that because in part that's something that I'm nervous about. I know that we have an extensive alumni network. I just don't feel connected to it. And by the way, I'm in the business school. I'm like a second semester senior, so I'm really going through it too right now. But I don't feel connected to it, and I really think that's something that could really help. I want to see it like highlighted and promoted because right now QUCC, I just don't think it's really like doing it for me and a lot of other people. So I think that's something that I really look forward to, and I hope you guys really push.
Yeah, thank you for your comment, and I agree with you 100%. And Daryl, you might want to just explain what Bobcat Connect is. But the network of alumni is a huge advantage in terms of your transition from school to work. And you should use it and exploit it. And I think our alumni are thrilled to help because they have the same affection to Quinnipiac as you do. Daryl, would you give us a detail?
Yeah, and we'll make sure to send more information out about Bobcat Connect because for sure it's sort of our version of LinkedIn, which a lot of you, particularly as you're getting closer to graduation, are going to be using more often, hopefully, because that really is your career networking site. So, but being able to build that so that it's not just sort of going out to the mass universe via LinkedIn, but one that's much more personalized to Bobcat Nation and to all of our alum is critically important. And so, for example, I just filled out my profile last week when I learned about it, and then you sort of all the information's in there, and then hopefully now you can be connected to people who might have had similar career interests or career paths, individuals who can help write a resume and prepare for that first job interview. And so hopefully take advantage of the resource, because it will be both career prep, it'll be a chance to have coffee maybe with an alum who's nearby who has raised their hand and said they want to be connected to existing students. And I think that's something that I'll be working on long term with Todd here, who's the head of alumni affairs. I think there's a lot of pent-up interest and demand amongst our alumni network. I think they're having some of the same questions of how do they get more involved in this community. So I'm really glad you raised it, and we'll be looking for ways to promote that more.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So it is 5:30. So before you guys go, first of all, I just want to say thank you to our amazing student panelists. We really appreciate it. Thank you to our amazing, amazing administration for being here. I know it's hard to sit up here and take these tough questions, but you guys were amazing, so thank you so much. I think this was a really productive dialogue here.
Thank you, Sophia, for being a great moderator.
Thank you. So also thank you to Q30. You guys are the best. Thanks for televising this. We appreciate you. So if you're going to get another raffle ticket as you leave, also there's so much food. Please take food. Make sure you grab a ticket from the SGA members that are going to be filing into the back over there. Paige and Bobby, wave for us. Awesome. But seriously, thank you guys so much for coming, and we hope you have a really, really awesome rest of your day.
Great job.
Welcome back, everybody, to Q30 TV's live coverage of the 2020 State of the QUnion. Bryan Schwartz here, joined by Sal Filardi, that is Quinnipiac's Vice President for Facilities and Capital Planning. So Sal, thanks for coming on, and how do you think this event went today?
Well, thanks for having me. I think it was a great event. Great to have exchange of ideas.
And it's great to have some administrators and the students. What do you like most about hearing from the students?
Well, that's what we're all here for, right? So if we don't hear from them, then we're really kind of lost on what we really need to do to improve. So we're excited about listening to students every time we get a chance.
One of the things the students that are most excited about, and we heard today that it could potentially open for the Yale-Quinnipiac men's ice hockey game in just a few weeks, is the new pub on York Hill. So can you just speak more about that pub and the plans for it?
Yeah, I mean, I hope it's more than potential. I mean, I think we're targeting that as the grand opening. We're very close to being finished with construction and stuff, and we have everything lined up, and probably some extra wiggle room just in case there's a surprise or two, and some contingency plans. But we should open for the Yale game. It's going to be a great venue. Not just an alcohol pub, but a place for non-alcoholic program could happen too, so we're excited about it.
And I'm sure that's been a lot of students have been kind of on your guys' backs about trying to get something like that to come within the last few years, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it probably started out as an SGA initiative several years back. I think it's a great idea. We always talk about education. It's really another way to promote responsible drinking, right? I mean, we're not. Somebody said, "Oh, we got to get a table to play flip cup." Probably won't be playing flip cup at the pub, but great, great place to go, I think, and relax with friends, get a pub kind of food and potentially a drink if it's that kind of event. I've been to local bars where there's trivia nights, and it's literally shocking how they fill up to the not an empty seat in the house, and then next thing you know, the trivia is over and everybody's gone. So I think to do that right on campus and not have to travel somewhere will be a great thing too.
Absolutely. Any chance that you know of the vendor that will be part of the bar?
So the way we are kicking it off, we have a company that we worked with before that does the bartending. They've done senior night and stuff in the past. They're going to be the vendor who does that, and Chartwell's our food service provider will be providing food. It's a different menu than what's typically up in the caf up there. So, and you'll be able to order off the phone or off the kiosk and get I'm assuming burgers and wings and those kind of things there.
Well, that is definitely exciting for the pub coming up on York Hill in a couple of weeks. The new Health and Wellness Center, where you said that will open potentially January 2022. What are the plans for that?
So we're right in the middle of finalizing the programming for that, but what it does is it centralizes our health and wellness. So the clinical offices, the counseling offices, and all the recreation kind of goes into one facility. It's essentially kind of a L-shaped wrap around this building, so it'll also be connected in such a way that it feels like the same building, and we're excited about it. It's going to really improve the quality of the spaces for different like yoga classes and different. The studios get bigger, all new equipment. It's a lot more daylighting, a lot more connection to the outdoors than the current facility, so we're excited about having that too.
Another big part of the master plan is the parking, obviously, a situation that students obviously haven't been very happy with within the last few years. Or are there any plans within that master plan to expand upon that?
So there will be. The problem is we're too early and to give you any kind of specifics, but pedestrian traffic, vehicular traffic is all part of the master planning to make sure that we make improvements to it. I do think we want the campus to be more pedestrian friendly. There's no sidewalks, there's no bike lanes, those type of things. So there'll be some changes. I think hopefully the changes make it more convenient for students versus less convenient.
So the President's House, what is the plans for that, and how long do you think for that to be completed?
So we're kind of wrapping up the construction of the house specifically, and the back patio, which is kind of part of the entertaining area, will be done in a few weeks. The reality of it, and I mentioned it at the address today, is it's not just the president's house, right? It's a facility for the university. The president's residence is part of it. There's also a wing for, either children of a future president or special guests if there's rooms available. And there's a lot of social space, so entertaining, not just dignitaries, but students and faculty and staff. I mean, I think you probably know Judy's had multiple events where she's invited the community over, sometimes very small groups, sometimes medium-sized groups, sometimes large groups. So she's very focused on making sure that community spirit is alive and well.
And how about potential events for that place? Is that something that you guys have planned, or is that more of on the president to plan?
So there's the whole kind of addition of the property, right, has another building on it, the pavilion, and I think our goal is to make that more interwoven with the event spaces on campus so other people can use it. I think, it is the president's residence too, so the events in the house are really going to be directed by the president. But it's not necessarily a personal thing. She's expanding and she brings people in for development. I recently heard that she was planning on having people over before the Yale game as kind of an upscale tailgate. So I think it'll be well utilized and really help foster community.
In terms of the zoning, is the university allowed to use the property as well?
So yes and no. We still use it for smaller things, and to use it for bigger events like the pavilion can hold, we are requesting a zoning change, and the town would like to have that zoning change. We went in front of planning and zoning earlier. They would like us to submit our master plan that we're working on so they could understand the big picture instead of changing little things along the way. So we understood that, and so we'll bring the zoning change forward. It's just making that parcel part of university use. I mean, it's the university, we own it, we use it, it's university use, so it just makes sense.
What are the next plans for the Planning and Zoning Committee?
Well, I think that's probably the next big thing. We'll bring them either a draft or the finished master plan so they could understand. They're also part of the process. We had a town group come in to talk about different things we wanted to do, and we'll continue to keep them as part of the process so it's not a surprise that they're waiting for. But that's probably the next steps.
Finally, the 3 residence halls that have had some issues with Larson Perlroth. Any plans for those, and how far away do you see them?
Yeah, so we're wrapping up construction there too, though. So by the end of the semester, they're supposed to be completed. It's really not issues. We made a change in the middle of construction and decided that we were going to, instead of doing it in phases, we're just going to do it all at once. It made sense for a whole host of reasons, and we really are getting essentially 3 brand new buildings, all new finishes, all new flooring and furniture and mechanical systems, electrical, plumbing, everything's brand new. So I think it's going to be pretty exciting. I think students will love it.
That'll be cool to see and cool to look forward to for the students and the university. So Sal, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, now we'll talk to Luca Triant, who has more from the state of the QUnion. All right, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Appreciate you coming on.
No problem, thank you.
All right, I can take that. Perfect, thank you.
For me, I've been trying to get free laundry to happen since freshman year. So, when I got that email from Monique, she emailed me like 30 seconds before the actual email went out to the student body, because she knew that's something I've been working on. So, and I think also the work that myself and Zach are doing, my committee with Q Dining, is also huge, because I think this is the first time that we've had so much communication happening, and we can already see all the changes that are products of that. So. I think that's another thing that hopefully continues through the years, that communication between SGA and Q Dining, because I think we've seen it be really productive so far this year. But really, I mean, every initiative that we complete, especially when it's like that first initiative somebody completes, or just any initiative, it's really exciting to see, and you're always going to be positively impacting a student, which is really, really cool.
My first initiative, I got gym clips in the gym right now, so met with John Summers, got gym clips so we could improve safety in the gym. Right now I'm working on another initiative to get new Olympic bars in the squat and deadlift area. working with John Summers also. On our cabinet as a whole, we just completed another initiative. Therapy dogs are coming March 25th, like relieve stress from students and stuff like that. Stuff that the freshman cabinet's also done is Michael Cunningham got water coolers in Irma and Dana, and he also got hand sanitizers around the student center.
So I've only been on SGA for a short time, but while I was running for SGA, I got signatures from students, and one student that brought up a concern to me was that the bricks in the path from CAS to South Lot, there are a lot of bricks missing, so if he was using a wheelchair, his wheels would hit the holes in the bricks, and that obviously is a safety concern, not only for him, but just for people walking as well. And so I worked with facilities to make sure that those bricks were, the pavers were replaced. So that was my first initiative, and right now I'm working on, there was a pilot program with the condom dispensers in the Commons building, so I'm making sure that those dispensers are refilled because they were sitting empty for a little bit. So I'm making sure that those are refilled, and then we're going to work with that initiative to install dispensers in more of the dorms and make sure that those are refilled on a regular basis.
Interesting. I'm actually going to go.
Oh, Caroline.
All right, everybody, thanks for joining us on the State of the QUnion post show. I'm Bryan Schwartz on Q30 TV. We have more coming from some SGA members. Cap a little bit about. We heard from 14 members of the student population, and then we also heard from some administrators from the school. They talked about many things like the pub that is coming on York Hill, some parking things going on, new health and wellness center coming January 2022, Bobcat Connect, which will be Quinnipiac's version of LinkedIn, and many other things. You can go back and watch that at Q30TV.com. So now we will head over to Kaylee Heffler, who's live with some students about this event today at the State of the QUnion. So Kaylee, take it away.
I'm here with Emma Morales, where the State of the QUnion just finished. Emma.
Somewhere. Okay, you're sitting here.
I don't care.
Conversations were had between students and administrators. I think that was definitely the most important part of this. A lot of students got to ask their own personal questions. A lot of questions that I know a large population of the student body wants to know were answered, even if people weren't here to ask them. And yeah, it was a really good space for a lot of really useful and helpful discussions to be had.
And what do you think was the most important discussion talked about tonight?
Sustainability, I think, was one of them. I kind of walked in towards the end of that conversation, but I know that that's becoming a more and more increasingly important topic here on this campus, not only to students but to administrators as well, and even to the neighboring communities around us. So the fact that we're able to have this conversation between students and administrators is something really, really important.
And is there anything you would like to see Quinnipiac do to help with sustainability?
Not personally, no. I wouldn't consider myself that educated on the topic. I would definitely give it to somebody who's a member of the Student Environmental Action Club that we have on campus. They're really active. They're really getting their name out there, and I'm proud of a lot of people who I know are in it. But I think one thing that we can do is figure out a way to make recycling a little bit more accessible. I live in a place where there's only really one recycling dumpster, and it's about like 5-minute walk away, and if it's 9 o'clock at night and it's freezing, you don't really want to walk over there. But other than that, I think a lot of really good steps are being made in a much bigger picture kind of way.
And was there anything tonight that you didn't see addressed that you wanted?
No, I would say a big mark for me is a lot of pride and tradition that I want to see brought to this campus. I'm a big believer of this is a community space, a family space, and I want to be really proud of the people and opportunities that I get to meet and experience here. So I think we had a small conversation about that, and there's definitely going to be a larger push for more pride and tradition, and that's something I hold near and dear to my heart, so I'm really excited for it.
And do you believe that the school is actually going to take action against everything they addressed tonight, or do you think these topics that were discussed tonight are going to come back up next year?
I think there's an unfortunate circumstance where things are going to take a little bit of time, like a lot of construction questions were asked. That's going to take a lot of time and money, a lot of planning for not only courses, but for even how we hire teachers for these courses, professors for these courses. These are all things that are still in the preliminary phases, I believe, as I was told by the administrators. But they are making steps, or at least that's what they've told us, to try to streamline these processes along for us, or at least keep us updated on them.
And do you think overall this event is successful? Like, students enjoy being able to have this open dialogue with faculty?
Absolutely, and SGA did a really awesome job promoting this event and getting a lot of people interested and actually here. I was a bit surprised to see how many people were here, which made me really, really happy. This event was really good. I liked it because you get an opportunity to sit face to face with the people who are in charge of every small detail that you experience here at Quinnipiac, and you might not even know that that's the case. So the fact that you're able to put a face to the name, to the action, is something that's really important and valuable to students. So if they have any questions, I know where to direct them.
And is there anything specific that brought you to this event tonight, or were you just kind of interested to see what other people had to say?
A little bit of both. I have a lot of friends. My roommate is in fact an SGA, so she kept pushing all of us to come out, which I'm really glad that she did, because I got an opportunity to not only voice one of my opinions, but to hear many opinions of my fellow students and the administrators. It was a really good time, and I'm happy I came out.
Well, thanks for coming out with us, and thank you, Emma, for talking to us. Of course.
All right, welcome back to Q30's coverage of the State of the QUnion today. Now we have a panel of some SGA representatives, so let's actually just introduce yourselves, guys.
So I'm Caroline, I'm the sophomore class president.
I'm Max, I'm the junior class president.
I'm Jeremy, I'm the specialized representation chair.
And I'm Kelly, I'm the senior class vice president.
So they were part of the panel that joined us today at the State of the QUnion. So now we're just going to talk a little bit about what we noticed, what they're excited about what happened today at the State of the QUnion. So first, what were you guys most looking forward to today, and what did you get out of it?
At least for me, it was the pub and the new information that we got. I'm really looking forward to the grand opening of that. It's exciting to hear that it's going to be right around the time of the Yale game, and as well as the information that we can have programming up there as well. That'll be awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Going off that, kind of all the information we got about the master plan and like the renovations to the gym, how they'll be happening very soon. And we're going to have like a lot of new buildings and projects for the students to look forward to.
Which I definitely agree, and it's always good to hear from administrators directly from them. And it's just such an honor that so many could show up all at once. And I think it was really good to hear some updates on stuff that we didn't really hear any concrete information about until this point.
Kelly, you've been here for 4 years.
Yeah.
What do you think of the change coming from the Piazza and out of BurtCon today?
I thought it was great, and I thought it was great about the turnout. I think it's really important for the students to hear directly from the administrators. I think it also shows that they care and that they're asking these questions all the time, the students, so it's great to hear answers. Yeah.
Max, you were excited about the pub.
Yeah.
Tell us more a little bit about that and the push that SGA has had to progress that.
Yeah, obviously it was a senior class initiative last year that first got it kind of started. And now we're at the point where it's actually constructed, we're almost there. And I think it would be a really cool area just for students to gather, build a little more Quinnipiac pride, and get excited about things.
And it's not just a pub for 21-year-olds, it's also for underclassmen as well, to include everybody. As the sophomore class president, what are you most looking forward to with that?
I think it's fantastic. I know we've had a lot of students talking about the lack of late night food options on York, and the pub is going to kind of help fix that. There's going to be a lot of great programming, and I think York Hill is like a big center for a lot of the sports games and everything, and so having a space where students can gather and really get together is going to be great.
I totally agree. I think it's going to be a great morale booster too for kind of that like unity and school spirit that we're looking for. I think we heard it from the new marketing position too. I think we really need to boost our school spirit, and I think the pub will go a long way in doing that.
What other than the pub do you think can increase school spirit?
I think like what they said about getting more people involved in the games on the weekends, getting more people excited for the games, and I think student government puts a lot of effort into that too. So yeah.
Something else that they talked about with the Bobcat Nation, the whole marketing side of it, is a new online LinkedIn service that Quinnipiac is having called Bobcat Connect. So what have you guys seen with that?
I think it's actually a great addition because we always get emails every single week from our schools or from somewhere saying, oh, connect with alumni online, but every time you try it, it's always a little glitchy and a little convoluted to get around. So I think this is going to be a really nice improvement, and it seems very easy to sign up, and hopefully this will help a lot more people kind of start getting into the real world, and hopefully there could be many great connections that can spring from this.
Yeah, I mean, going off that, I think it'll be amazing just to have those first step connections, you know, coming out of senior year, you'll be you're kind of new to everything, trying to look for those connections. It's a great first step to be able to connect with someone just based off your university like that. Something else that seemed to be at the forefront of a lot of people's minds was the 3+X, whatever, but holding positions in that fourth year. What have you guys seen with that, and what would you like to see with that?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think that's been a discussion for a long time, specifically in student government and in other organizations on campus. With this big addition of these 3+X programs, it's becoming more of the forefront, and I think it's great that we were able to voice that directly to the administration because it didn't really seem like it was completely on their radar. And so now that we've made it very known to them, I hope to see some improvement with it.
Yeah, I would just say I agree. I have a lot of friends now in that weird like transition period where they're not a senior anymore, really. They're in grad school, but they still want to experience the same things that we're experiencing in their fourth year. So it is a weird, like, kind of middle that I think they are just starting to, like, I've been in several discussions where they're trying to figure out where do we draw the line, like, where can they be included, and then where are they grad students?
Anything else you guys want to say about this event?
Well, I think just one last thing about the 3+X. I think it's important to recognize the different programs. For example, there's the 3+1s, but then there's also the 3+3s. And I would say they are different in general. So I would say when we're talking about these subjects, we have to be cognizant of the different 3+X programs that we do offer.
And kind of running off that just a little bit more, not to dive too deep into it, but there are some great solutions to that have been talked about, whether it's those in their fourth year paying an undergraduate fee to offset so they can do those leadership opportunities, or whatever the solution may be. It looks like there's some really good opportunities.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Plenty of good stuff to look forward to.
Absolutely.
Guys. So thank you all for joining me. And we'll talk to you guys again soon.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right. We'll be right back with more from the Quinnipiac State of the QUnion. That'll do it today from the State of the QUnion here at BurtCon Court on the Mount Carmel campus of Quinnipiac University. Thank you for joining us today. We heard from many people, and it was a great success hearing from some of those administrators, the students, and hats off to SGA for putting this all together. We heard a lot about the new pub that's coming on York Hill and some of the many changes that are coming to the Mount Carmel campus, the York Hill campus, and the North Haven campus as well. So plenty to be excited about if you're a Bobcat. and we will have plenty more coverage from this State of the QUnion post coverage coming. That'll be on Q30TV.com tomorrow, as well as the Q30 newscast next week. That'll be Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. For more coverage of Quinnipiac, all things Quinnipiac and the local Hamden community, visit Q30TV.com, our Facebook page, Q30 Television, our Twitter at Q30 Television, at Q30 News, as well as all of our other social platforms. So for everyone behind the scenes that helped out with this broadcast today, thank you. I'm Bryan Schwartz signing off, and we'll see you again soon.